Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So I'm coming up on about 4 years now that we've had our house in Costa Rica, and it feels like it flew by. And this past year, we have really started spending more time in Costa Rica to the point where people say, "Where do you live?" And I immediately respond, "Guanacaste," because that's where we're spending most of our time now. And I decided to reflect on the last 4 years and think about, what's changed. Who am I now compared to who I was in 2020 when we first started this journey? And it's a really interesting thought because it's not something you notice when things change, when your mindset changes, when your approach changes, when your demeanor changes, your attitude, anything. And if you wanted to unpack with me the mindset shifts that I went through, I think they're really interesting and I'm grateful for all of them. And I think that a lot of things have shifted. It definitely affects my business in a good way. But I also think that lifestyle-wise, a lot has changed, and if I can instill some of these lessons with you, I know that it's really hard to change someone's mindset overnight, but I'm gonna share what changed with mine, where I was, where I am, and specifically, I would love to shortcut for you some of these lessons that I truly believe are so fundamentally true at this point in my life. So with that, I just wanna share, so before I came down here, I especially before well, just say before I started my business really full throttle, because I started the business in 2019, but I didn't quit my job until 2021. So remember, there was a year where I was working remotely for my other company while building my business in Costa Rica. So all of these things overlapped for about the course of a year. But what I really focused on a lot before quitting my job specifically was around hustling, getting ahead, people liking you, getting raises, getting praised. And I was that overachiever kid who just wanted to be recognized for the hard work I was putting in and get the promotions, get the opportunities. I worked really freaking hard. I was willing to put in the hours. I was willing to feel the accomplishment. I was like I always say, I'm an Enneagram 3. I get essentially dopamine hits from checking off items on a to-do list. I spent like 15 years of my career essentially chasing inbox zero. If you've been there, you get that. Where basically your whole day circles around shrinking your inbox as it's falling on you. So is there a game? There's gotta be a game out there that's like it replenishes itself and you have to like kill more than gets created, right? So I'm constantly chasing this inbox zero, playing a game for like 15 years of my career. It never changes, you know, super stressed out, hitting deadlines, but yet feeling this sense of value in the fact of I'm worth what I can get done. Okay. So I am that person, or I was that person, I should say. Still definitely instinctual in me. But here's a couple of things that I learned, especially living in Costa Rica. This was a really interesting lesson that we are passengers on this earth, not drivers. And there are a lot of things that we try to yank the wheel and we try to go faster or we try to take certain turns and shortcuts. And if you do that, you miss the whole point of the journey. And I've learned a lot of patience. I've learned to stop focusing on solely the accomplishment, but to enjoy the actual process because spoiler alert, the to-do list never goes down to 0. You will never be done. So, if you will never be done, and who knew that after 15 years of constant to-do list, cutting and adding, I mean, I never woke up one single Monday morning or any day and said, I have nothing on my list to do today. This is great. Right? Emails start pouring in and you start the whole thing again. Oh, you know what it's like? That clip of I Love Lucy with the chocolates, you know what I'm talking about? That is the manifestation of my email inbox. I don't know about you. It's just every time they come through, it's just there's more than you can handle. And what you have to learn is that it stops with you, that you're the one in control, that the emails are not going to stop. The requests are not going to stop. The client requests are not going to stop. Your boss's emails are not going to stop. The best thing you can do is realize that you're the number one person in control and that you're the one who sets the pace. And that if you want people to be more patient with you, you have to be more patient with them. And that you need to become a passenger, not a driver. You need to be willing to let others set the pace. Just and you have to be willing to slow down and you have to be willing to, you know, surrender to what's going on. Like you can't be in control all the time. If you didn't get all of your work done for the day, fine. Inform people, tell them that you didn't get your work done, that you did your best, but you have to attend to things at home. Whatever it is you have to do, like have patience with yourself. You don't have to do all the things right freaking now. And that's me talking to Shannon from 10 years ago. Less value on speed. Here's how I learned that though, was in Costa Rica. So down here, you are on other people's time. So like you want to order from a restaurant, you will get your order seen when the person checks their phone for their WhatsApp. That's how you'll get your order, placed. Otherwise, you have to call them and hope they aren't busy and they answer you or they call you back. There is not this sense of everybody's at your beck and call. And I think when Americans and Canadians and North Americans come down here, the expectation is that it's similar to America because they have no other point of reference, which is fine. But I think that as we've kind of gotten acclimated here, we've realized that, wow, everybody's in such a damn rush in America. We are surrendering to the timeline of the people who work down here. If they are busy, you will wait. There is no expediting. There is no, let me speak to a manager. This is ridiculous, right? There's no Karening down here. And if you do, it's less likely that you're going to get what you want the louder you are because it's disrespectful. And companies down here really don't reward the squeaky wheels, if you will. They will simply tell you they're gonna go work on it and then ignore you, which is even worse. So, I would say that one thing I've really adopted down here is this mindset that, you're on other people's timelines. So, just be kind, be patient, and wait for them to get around to you and trust the process that they will. And that kinda goes along with the next lesson I learned, which is really to always assume good intention. Because one thing that I'm gonna speak broadly and generalize, but the Costa Rican culture in general is that where if they don't wanna disappoint you. So think about, like, people pleasing, right? They're not trying to lie to you, but they will tell you what you want to hear in the hopes that it will make you happy. So, I'll give you an example. When something like with the house was being done, we would constantly hear, "Oh yeah, we'll get it done tomorrow." So we would mark our calendars for the next day. We would block out the time. We wouldn't have any meetings during that time. And we would think, okay, they said they would be here at 10 a.m. to get it done. And lo and behold, no one shows up at 10 a.m. If they show up that day, it's at 2 or 3 p.m. They don't get it done. They have to come back the next day or the next week. Everything's unfinished, right? And it's so frustrating. Like, it has sent me and my husband into such states of stress. I think it brought me to tears at one point. I was so stressed out because there were so many unfinished things and it was impossible to manage. And what I realized was that like nobody ever had bad intentions or trying to screw us. Nobody was trying to be an inconvenience or just be terrible to deal with. What we were dealing with was a difference in prioritization and difference of values. So when someone says they're going to come by tomorrow, first of all, it's your job down here to follow up with them and make sure they're really going to come and confirm. And I've even asked them to send me their WhatsApp location an hour before they're supposed to be here so I know that they're on their way, or I confirm with them that what time they're gonna be in, and I'll ask 3 or 4 times. Like, "You said 3. You'll be here at 3? You'll be here at 3? You'll be here at 3." I have to remind them because they'll forget. And is it my job? Shouldn't be. But that's how it is. If you wanna get stuff done down here, you have to remind people of what they promised. And that's just because, again, they have good intention. They want to get the stuff done for you. They want to do the work, but the challenge is that things get in the way. The day gets in the way, other things take priority, other emergencies happen. And they're not the best at proactively communicating down the line of their schedule and saying, "Oh, because this thing happened this morning, I'm going to be late to Shannon. I should let her know." Oh, no, there's none of that. They will just be late. And I'm speaking generally about a lot of our experience down here in Costa Rica. But, and you might be thinking, "Oh my God, that's so frustrating." It was for a while, but when you reset your expectations to know that you're on other people's timelines, you realize that, okay, if it does happen today, we're ready. If it doesn't, that's okay. They'll come around eventually. And you just, again, have that patience. Hey, real quick, are you learning anything in this episode that you think is share worthy? Well, if you could take a quick screenshot and share any of your biggest takeaways or quotes from this episode, post it to Instagram and make sure to tag me at Shannon K. Weinstein and at Keep What You Earn. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Let's dive back in. And the other thing is that you have to be nimble on your plans. You have to allow margin for the unexpected, as I put it, and you have to be able to lower your capacity, if you will. So, one thing that I really put some thought into living down here was that instead of filling my schedule with meetings or filling my time with things to do, there were 2 things that were happening. One was a lot of unexpected stuff comes up here. So whether it's a slight power outage or a neighbor needs something or, something's broken or whatever. If something needs to happen, and now that we've adopted a puppy, now she's part of that. If something needs attention, if you're already strapped and you're already stretched thin, then the tension is already so high that one new thing added in is just gonna break you. And you have to give yourself that margin. You have to give yourself that give and not keep everything so tense because then you have the room to deal with the unexpected stuff without it sending you over the edge. And that's something we live by here at Keep What You Earn Co. Now is I've really made an intention with all employees to not fill their time to 40 hours a week. We fill it to about 25 to 30, I would say on average, with the hopes that if something comes up with a client or something comes up unexpectedly and someone's out sick, or if something bad happens. I mean, we just had the hurricane Helene pass through. We have one of our employees in Atlanta, Georgia. Luckily, everything's okay. But we have all these things that happen, and it's really important that you stay nimble and that you can reassess and reallocate resources quickly. And you don't have so many commitments that you're inflexible. You have to leave that unexpected margin. I mean, it could be traffic, weather, it could be a puppy, it could be family, it could be, illness, whatever it is. And if you don't allow for that's what stresses people out. And that's what sends people into that burnout stage. And it's so important to manage that. And I think the last thing that I want to share with you is the last lesson or last mindset shift that really helped me adapt to life in Costa Rica, but also just benefit me overall. And all of this, by the way, benefits me from a health standpoint. It benefits from just mental health and peace and stress levels. I'm telling you, like, I wish I could just download all of these beliefs into a lot of people to give them a lot more peace in their life. It really is true. But the last thing that I wanted to share is around community. So I realized this when we were in Costa Rica in 2020 and 2021. We were dealing with the COVID pandemic in the States. I mean, down here as well, but the States was quite different. And what we realized was that during the pandemic, and even still now, a lot of people are operating in a state of survival. They are really not helping each other out and being neighborly. Even within families, people are torn, especially over divisive political views and things like that. But, you know, when it comes to community, there's very little sense I've found. And now I know that there's plenty of community in America, but in a lot of places where we've lived and where we've been, community has dissipated. Everybody kind of minds their business, stays in their home, they're on their laptops. They have more friends on the internet than they do in their own hometown. They know more people on Facebook than they do on their own street and don't call people by name. They don't really make eye contact with their neighbors, right? And I'm from the Northeast. So if that's not clear, but I think that's actually pretty common all over the states right now. And living in Costa Rica was such a refreshing shift away from that and into, you know, taking care of each other's homes. Right now, we live in a complex with 5 houses. We're neighbors with each other. If somebody needs something done, we can call on one another to help out. If we need somebody to watch Lola, if we need somebody to be here for a contractor, we trust our neighbors and vice versa. We've gone over our neighbor's house and checked on things while they were gone. And it just feels like a community. And I know that the broad community also does a lot to help out. Like we do trash pickup, we volunteer, we donate to organizations in the community, and the whole town here really does feel like a unit where everybody is doing their share and everybody is contributing. And even when some some tourist came in and badmouthed one of the restaurants where the owner was a beloved member of the town, this person was criticizing the restaurant for whatever thing. The whole town basically jumped on it, defended the person, defended the restaurant, and said, "We don't need that type of energy here. We are a community. We support one another. We support our small businesses. If a restaurant was understaffed, well, maybe you should have come earlier." And it's just one of those circumstances that's like, well, they're understaffed. It is a circumstance right now. It's not as easy to just say, well, they should staff more people, right? It's not that simple down here. So you have to be willing to say, you know what? It's out of their control and it's okay. And be part of the community and be understanding with one another. And I think that that patience, that compassion, and that sense of community really was what did me in. It was so refreshing to come down here during the pandemic and to experience that where people were so nice to you that they would invite you places like, "Hey, I'm having a party on Saturday. Do you want to come?" Or, "Hey, my friend sells jewelry. She's doing this thing. We should all go." And, basically strangers, people you just met would invite you or share WhatsApp communications with you. And, you meet people at bars, they all want to talk, and everybody has such a fun story. And it was really nice to socially interact on a new level that we hadn't experienced in such a long time. And not only that, people aren't on their phones all the time. People are walking around enjoying what nature has to offer here. People are present and in the moment. Kids are social. They're playing on the playground, they're playing outside. There are plenty of people walking around, making eye contact with you, walking by, saying, "Have a nice day, beautiful day out." And there's something to be said for that. We don't do that enough anymore in the US. And I think that I've come to appreciate a lot of things about Costa Rica and the culture here and the shift that we've experienced and the slowdown, the overall heart rate lowering of being in this country and being a little bit happier here. But also, I've also come to appreciate a lot of things about the United States, namely Amazon Prime and having choices of what to buy in the stores and having so many things available, so many different types of people, so much access. I didn't realize how much in the States we had access to so many things, instant access to so many things. And, being in Costa Rica, it's a bit like going back in time sometimes, in the good and the bad ways sometimes. But I really do appreciate choosing this or making this choice because it's really allowed us to take a step back, zoom out for a second, and realize this is kind of the place we want to be. And we don't want to drift further apart from other people. And I love that we've adopted this kind of mindset. It's made me happier. It's given me more energy. It's given me more, enjoyment of life. And we get this question all the time where people ask, "Well, why'd you go to Costa Rica? Was it a tax thing?" Because they assume it's because we did that it would be some type of financial play. And yes, there is what I call lifestyle arbitrage. It's nice to earn money in the States and spend it down here. I mean, it's a little bit cheaper to live down here than the States, but The other part is, frankly, just joy, just a joy play. Like, not every decision has to be the thing that just makes financial sense. In this case, it made a little bit of financial sense and a lot of joy sense. But just remember that it's your choice, that you can make that joy play for yourself. You don't have to, you know, do what anyone else expects of you. And you definitely don't have to show off and live somewhere or be somewhere that people expect you to be. This has been super fun for us. And surprisingly, everything's really accessible here from what we need. And I really don't think my business suffers at all from it or any of our clients. And it's just been wonderful. So if I haven't sold you yet, I do encourage you to come visit and come spend some time in this beautiful country. I think that everyone deserves a little bit of a reset. And in my opinion, basically no better place on earth to do it than here.
One of the fastest ways that digital business owners lose cash is not having a clean tech stack. And by that, I mean individual costs for email marketing platforms, CRM, community page, course creation platform, website designers, and all these things do add up. And it can be super hard to run a profitable business using all of these different systems. That's why I love Kajabi. Kajabi is your all-in-one solution that manages your business throughout the customer journey. From lead generation to taking payment and sending onboarding emails, we use Kajabi for everything. And you can try Kajabi for 14 days free by heading to trykajabifree.com or click the link below in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.